What is going on YouTube? My name is Lamont at Large Son, and today we are in beautiful, balmy Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, 107 degrees, very hot. We're going to visit Pat Morita's former home where he passed away. We're going to talk a little bit about his life. And in this video, I'm going to make many racist jokes about the Pat Morita. He's a very funny man, but in the Karate Kid, he's very serious. He tried to teach Daniel's son Goku Ryu Karate. Now, before you unsubscribe and cancel me, just want to let you know, 20 years ago, I was funny. For this video, not so much. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. You see this lovely home right here? I used to live here. I rented a room in this house for about 3 months. That was actually my window right there on the right. And one day, one of the guys that rented the other room, his name was Cal, and he was a nutcase. And Cal says, "Hey Lamont, you want to fight?" And I said, "No. Here's a little bit of advice, guys. If somebody challenges you to a fight and you know that they always carry a 9mm Glock pistol, decline the invitation. It's not worth it." Moving along. So, Noriyuki Pat Morita was born June 28, 1932. In the United States. He wasn't born in Japan. His parents were from an island, I believe, off of Japan somewhere, but he was born in the United States. Now, when he was growing up, when he was 2 years old, he caught a very deadly disease called tuberculosis, but he actually caught what was then known as pot disease or spinal tuberculosis. Basically, that would cause the areas or the, I guess you can say the ligaments and all of the surrounding tissues around your vertebrae to atrophy and die, thus rendering a lot of people unable to walk for the rest of their lives. It causes necrosis where the tissues slowly atrophy and die. So from the time he was 2 to about 11, he basically was living out of a hospital in Northern California, and a good portion of that time he was in a full body cast. So by the time he's 11, he has a spinal surgery to see if he would be able to walk ever again, which he was. So he had to learn, just like an infant toddler, he had to learn to walk all by himself. Well, with the help, of course, of therapists. So he learns to walk, right? And everything is fine. Happy days are here again, no pun intended, but, well, one day, some guys in some funny uniforms come knocking at the Morita residence, and they say, "Hey, we heard that you could walk now, Pat." And he says, "Well, yes, I can." And he says, "Well, I got some good news and I got some bad news." And Pat and his family, they say, well, what's the good news? And they said, "Well, we just kind of told you. You know, your kid's walking and the surgery was a success. He didn't lose his life." And they said, "Well, what's the bad news?" He's like, "Well, you're going to have to walk over to this Japanese internment camp for a little while." Yeah, we kind of did that during World War II because we didn't trust anybody that was Japanese. Kind of don't know why we did that, but things were different back in those days. So with his newfound mobility, Pat used his walking ability to walk into forced internment with his parents and many other Japanese American people that had absolutely nothing to do with Japan other than the fact that that was their ethnic origin. So I believe they were residents of this internment camp facility, I want to say for almost 2 years. Don't quote me, somewhere around there. It's a long time. So eventually World War II ends and the United States, they say, hey, all right, well, the war is over, so you guys can go. You guys can go now. Okay. Now, eventually, the United States, they settled where they paid, I believe, each family that was in these camps, was it $20,000, $25,000? It wasn't very much. It wasn't very much. So when the Morita family got out of prison, they went back to Sacramento, and that is where they opened up a family restaurant. This restaurant was called Asuki Chop Suey or something like that. Asapi Chop? I really should have wrote that down. It was something like that. Now, this was a Japanese family, but if you want to make money with a restaurant, you're going to make Chinese food. So it was a Japanese family making Chinese food for the area residents and around the neighborhood where they lived.
Your family restaurant was called Arasaki Chop Suey.
Sorry, please don't unsubscribe for my racist jokes. So the family restaurant is going fine, and the family's making a living. They're not making $1 million, but they're making it by. And then one day in 1956, Pat's dad, he had went to see an all-night movie, so it probably lets out 12:30 at night, and he crosses the street and he gets ran over and killed. So now the family patriarch is dead. So he leaves Pat and his mother, and I believe Pat had a younger brother, to run the restaurant. And they ran it for another few years, but then they finally just closed it down. I'm assuming they just kind of lost interest in it. So everyone goes their own separate ways. And, Pat, he meets a lady, a girl, and together they have a little samurai. And Pat is now figuring to himself, he's like, I got to make money. I got a little samurai. We might have another little samurai. And we need to go ahead and make some money. And I need to get this fly away from my ear. So eventually Pat, he gets a job at the DMV. Probably, just a basically pusher paper job, whatever, but job's a job, has benefits, all that good stuff. And so Pat's working at the DMV, and then he later gets a job at an aerospace company, working graveyard, doing whatever, I don't know. Just working. It's just work, kids. It's just work. So he's working at that job, and then he applies for a job at Lockheed, this stupid fly. See, we don't edit videos on this channel. We just keep it pushing. Damn flies. So he gets a job at Lockheed. I guess that was before they were Lockheed Martin. I don't know. And this, so this guy, he moves his way up in the company. So he becomes, I don't know what the job description was, but he's basically the guy that tells the programmers with the robotics guys or whatever he's telling them. I don't freaking know what that job is. I don't even know if he went to school for that job. So anyways, so he's working that job. He's making pretty good money. He's raising his little samurai or samurais. And one day, he says to himself, he says, I'm getting burnt out. I'm getting burnt out on this job. It's kind of like how I'm getting burnt out on this video because it's 111 degrees right now. So he gets burnt out on the job, and he's like, I gotta quit. I gotta do something else. I raised my kid, the little samurai's out of the house, or whatever happened. He's like, you know what? Whatever it is that happened, he can't do it anymore. So he quits his job, and he says, I'm going to go into show business. So this little 5' nothing Japanese guy, and he's a pretty funny guy because when his parents' restaurant was open, he would kind of joke around with the customers, and when they would have dinners there, he would act as an MC or whatever. So this guy, he's a funny guy. He really actually is. So he says, I'm gonna become a stand-up comic, and he quits his plush job to go out and try to make people laugh. Little Japanese guy in the 1960s trying to make people laugh. So after Pat quits his job, he starts doing open mic nights and doing little stand-up comedy gigs in and around San Francisco and Sacramento, basically any club that would let him perform. And he takes the stage name Pat, because Noriyuki is not really funny, and I believe he got the name from a priest that had prayed with him when he was in the hospital as a child. So he's doing this stand-up routine, but he's kind of struggling. Like maybe he's not doing too hot, right? And so somebody suggests to him, they said, hey, maybe you should move down to Los Angeles. There might be more opportunity for you down there versus up here. So he says, why not? So he goes down to Los Angeles and he starts becoming pretty popular because, this guy, he is a funny guy. A lot of people may not know this, but he is a comic. Even though, people more know him as the serious Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. So he goes down there and he starts getting a little popular, and he ends up opening up for, amongst many big-time comics, Red Fox, and him and Red Fox became pretty good friends. So he was in a couple TV shows that you would know him from. One of his big roles was he played the guy that bought the diner from Happy Days. Now, guys, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I never understood Happy Days. I didn't get it. I don't think I laughed once. Who's the Fonz? What? Why are all these kids out of school? Is anybody studying here? Why does this diner keep letting these kids hang out and they don't seem to be buying anything? How is this place even staying in business? Anyways, so he plays on Happy Days as the Japanese guy who buys the diner. And before that, however, he did play in a movie with Don Knotts. What was it called? Something about the gun in the West? I don't know. I really need to take better notes on these things. So that was one of his first roles as being an actor and trying to make it big in Los Angeles. He was also on the television show MASH. Now, let me tell you guys something about MASH. I think that's actually the worst TV show of all time history. I think a lot of things are funny that are inappropriate. But it's not that the crux of the channel took place during, in wartime Vietnam. That's not what I'm talking about. I just don't think the show was funny. I didn't get the jokes. Maybe because I was 8 years old and maybe it was adult humor and I didn't understand, but I thought it was just the worst show ever. But anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody with my personal opinion. But that show just was really terrible to me. But he was on that show MASH. And also, he played on Sanford and Son. Yeah, he played Achoo. Get it? Like when you sneeze, you go Achoo. His name was Achoo. So when he introduced himself to Red Fox, or the character or whatever, he said, "My name is Achoo." He's like, "Oh, bless you." No, it's Achoo. It's like, that's his name. Okay, and then we all know what happened with Sanford and Son. Red Fox got kind of greedy, wanted to get paid more money, and that kind of ruined everything. Anyways, so Pat Morita was a pretty well-known actor and stand-up comic in his day. Now, as he got older, there was a writer who was coming up with a television program, television, what the hell am I talking about? A movie. See, any normal YouTuber would have just gone ahead and cut that out. I don't got time to cut anything. It was called Karate Kid, and the movie was about a kid who gets bullied by these dumb jocks, or whatever they are. It's Cobra Kai, these evil bastards. And, Danielson is getting tired of getting his butt kicked. So he, Mr. Miyagi, he meets him and makes him wash his car and whatever, and I don't know. Teaches him a little bit of karate. He eventually kicks his butt, and the good guys win at the end of the day. Is the Netflix television show any good? the Netflix. There was another. I seen the first two Karate Kids. It was really, really big when I was a kid.
If you were a kid in the 1980s, you'll definitely remember. There you go, Karate Kid.
why am I using racist Korean accents as Japanese accents? That's not how they talk. I'm probably gonna get canceled after this one. Anyways, so he plays Mr. Miyagi, and it's so funny because this guy in the movie as Mr. Miyagi, he's very serious, because mostly Japanese characters in movies, they're serious because usually people know Japanese people to be kind of more serious. But that's what I know him from, and I remember, this is so funny, I actually read the book, both Karate Kid books, before I seen the movie. I love the book, and I remember when I was in the 3rd grade or 2nd grade, I remember that was when Karate Kid 2, and I bought that book for $2.75. I begged my mother for the book through my school, and then the book was so good, and I read part 1 later on, and then eventually I went on to go see both 1 and 2. I don't believe I ever seen 3, and then the other remakes, like the next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank, and then the one with the Will Smith's kid. I ain't watching that crap. I'm cool. I want to keep it in the 80s, kids. Keep it in the 80s. But I'm sure they're good movies in their own right. So, Pat Morita, you guys might not know this. He, for a lot of his life, he suffered from alcoholism. I did not know that, but he did. And that is how he passed away. It was from, I guess it would be liver or kidney failure. I should probably know which one it is. I'll probably put it down below just to make sure. I kind of, some of these videos. Did you hear that? a voice said, "You are now being recorded." They think that I'm coming into their neighborhood to break into your house and to steal your property. No, I'm just simply walking around as a strange man that lives in a van, telling the story about a man who had a somewhat of a small impact, no pun intended, impact, hi-ya, on my life. And they're telling me that I'm being recorded. I'm not doing anything. I don't live here. Can't afford to, but anyways, moving along. So let's walk around the corner and check out this house. Okay, so Pat Morita's house is right over here. Now, I don't know if the wife still owns the home, so I don't want her to be very scared that I'm going by the house. I can't believe I actually used to live half a mile, feels like 3 miles in this heat, from where he used to live. This is a very nice home. And that is it right across the street. And that is where Noriyuki, Pat Morita, used to live in Las Vegas. A very nice house, very cool neighborhood. This is one of the coolest neighborhoods in all of Las Vegas. And here we are, being creepy, having pre-recorded robot voices telling me that I am being recorded. But this is the home right here. Very nice house, probably worth over $1 million because of the skyrocketing price of real estate here in Las Vegas. Yeah, so here it is. Very cool house. A lot of lovely vegetation, trees. Yeah, I don't feel weird at all going to these people's homes. I should do it more often. I wonder if anybody's calling the cops on me right now. I know you guys love my interactions with the police, right? Because you guys swear up and down that I'm so rude. You're so rude, Lamont. Well, let me tell you something. If you got pulled over as much as I did, you kind of get tired of it after a while. But anyways, all right, so that's his house. And we're going to go visit the final resting place of Pat Morita. Or are we? There seems to be a little bit of a discrepancy. Anyways, we're going to go to a cemetery now, and we're going to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get out of this heat. And let's jump in the air-conditioned rental car that I acquired through Priceline.com that has not endorsed or sponsored this channel. This channel is still 100% sponsored by you guys, and I want you to know this. Sponsored by you. I don't get sponsorship deals. I'm not popular enough. You got to be one of those big time YouTubers to sell all kinds of junk to people. Junk that you don't even use yourself. Do you sound jealous, Lamont? Maybe. Maybe I do. All right, let's hit the road. Okay, guys, and here we are at the Palm Cemetery here in beautiful, scorching, hot, dry heat, desert environment, Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, so it says online that he was buried here according to his obituary and according to whoever made the find a grave for Mr. Pat Morita. However, there's a problem. See, we don't know if he has a grave because it's shh, hush, hush in the office. I'm not going into the office because I don't want them to, in case they recognize me because I came here before and they're going to give me crap. All they said was that they worked with the family. So that tells me either his body was brought here for preparation for burial, or more than likely what I possibly think is that he was cremated and they handled the arrangements, and then the family took him home in an urn. That's pretty much what I'm thinking. Did you know, here's a fun fact about Las Vegas. Did you know that it is so hot here that when I start filming or videoing or whatever you want to call it, the sun makes my camera so hot that my phone shuts down and I lose all of the video. That's why I have to stay in the beautiful shade. Now I can walk out here, but I have about maybe 10 minutes before my phone shuts down. So didn't find him, but since I'm already here, let's go check out some graves. DeAndre Branch, May 6th, 1962 to September 21st, 2002. DeAndre was a parking attendant at the time of his death. He was riding his ATV a little outside of town, I guess kind of an area where a lot of dirt bikers and stuff like that, they go and ride. And he lost control of his ATV and crashed into a gully, and that is where he unfortunately died. Just a simple accident. Maybe he was going a little too fast and took a turn too quick or something like that. This is Willie Turner. She was born December 30th, 1932 in Anniston, Alabama, to the late Abraham and Clorin Walton. She was the eldest of 6 children. She attended Queensborough College in Queens, New York, and Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, where she received her BS in nursing. She retired from Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens Village, New York, after 35 years of service. And after that, she retired, came out to Las Vegas. Rest in peace. I love looking at old pictures of people back in the 20s and the 30s. Every time I look at it, it's like I'm staring into their eyes in some weird way or another. Okay, guys, I'm hitting the road. I'm gonna get out of this heat, go grab a nice steaming hot cup of coffee on this hot, dry day in Las Vegas. I'll catch up with you on the next vlog. Have a good one. Hope you enjoyed it. Only the way that I can do. Peace out.